Good evening, good evening. This is the Dominance Academy. I'm your host, Mr. Justin. Shit, and you know what? I just realized I don't have my power plugged in. So excuse me. Yeah, can't be having my laptop running out of juice. All right. Okay. Lady's been put to bed. Now we can talk some man shit. It's been a while. I've been crazy busy. And that's a good thing. Coaching has picked up quite a bit. So that's good. Message is getting out there. And I haven't been able to really ride as much as I wanted to. It's been a good season, but I'm happy I installed a quick shifter on my bike. If you don't know what a quick shifter is, it's a racing tool, and basically it just eliminates the clutch on upshifts. So you hold open the throttle and just with your foot just go bang, 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 and you don't have to use the clutch in between each shift. So it reduces your time and keeps the power steady. And it sounds fucking phenomenal. So yeah, I had that taken care of. Actually, well, I did it myself. Pretty easy. So yeah. So what are we talking about tonight? Structure. And it's one of the most necessary things. One of the most necessary things in relationships is structure. And the thing is, though, is that you gotta know what it is that you want to see. And and I would think that guys would have at least a modicum of clarity on what they want, and they don't. It's very strange. It's very strange. So really, if you're in a relationship, or if you're seeing a woman, right, even just you're dating a girl, it's really important to have an idea, even for the short term. Let's say you're seeing a girl for the past 3 months, and it's only been once a week. Even that needs structure, right? Even that needs structure, because that's like saying, well, I've got this intern in my business, but just because they're an intern, they don't need any structure, right? Because what if you show them the structure and they bind to it very well? They roll into that shit super easy, and you're like, damn, look at you go. I had no idea, right? And then for those that can't, then you can adjust. Either you just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with anybody who isn't willing to deal with my kind of structure, and you just get rid of them. Or you can taper it off and say, you know what, she's pretty cool. I really don't see long-term future with her, so I'm not really going to deal with any kind of boundaries or means by which she can elevate herself. Okay, because that's actually quite a big reward that you can give a woman. So if you're just like fucking around with a girl, you don't necessarily need structure. However, there's a caveat to this stuff. It means that you have to deal with uncertainties, and it means you have to deal with things coming up outside of your control. Her reactions, certain attitudes that she's got, and she will bring this to your door, and you're gonna have to deal with it as it comes, right? Versus having a means of understanding what's acceptable and what's unacceptable, right? And so you're free to do whatever you want, but just understand that if you don't have structure, if you don't have anything, say it's just a girl you're kind of fucking around with every once in a while, which is totally fine. Again, I don't judge people how they want to live their lives. Just know that it comes with certain costs. Okay. And these costs are, they can be annoying. Okay. So if you have a very low threshold for annoyance, then you're going to need structure. Okay. So how do you go about doing that? Right? How do you go about putting structure in front of how you move out here, dealing with women, whether you're dating, just fucking around, or you're in relationships? Well, it starts with knowing what you want. Okay. So just like anything in building, right? Say you want to get fit. All right. And you go to the gym and you hire a trainer and he says, okay, what are your goals? And you're like, well, I just want to get fit. It's like, well, what does that even mean? Do you want to get fit in terms of endurance? All right. That's going to require a certain type of training. Do you want to get fit in terms of your overall raw power, like explosive power, like a football player has? That's going to require a certain type of training. Would you like to have functional strength? That's going to require a certain type of training. Or do you want to have strength that is specific to certain lifts, like such as powerlifting? That's going to require a certain type of training. Or do you want just aesthetics? That's going to require a certain type of training. So you have to know specifically what it is that you want in order to create a program, right? That's what the trainer would do. You say, okay, so your goal is that you want to increase your strength with specific lifts. Okay. You want to get a strong bench. You want to get a good squat. You want to get a good deadlift and so on. Then that would require you to have a specific training program for these things. Now, and then that will dictate what you do on a daily basis moving forward. Okay. It would move in that direction. So the same sort of thing with adding structure to a woman is that you need to know what you want. That's the very beginning. That's the beginning of all this stuff, is knowing what you want. What do you want from her? What do you expect in terms of specific behaviors? All right. So like, let's say the two of you go out, right? You go out to have like drinks or something. Is there anything particular about how you would like her to behave in public with you? All right. Where is she going to walk in relation to you? Is it going to be on the side of you? Is it going to be behind you? Right? Is she going to be opening her own door, or are you opening the door for her? Okay. Is she going to be ordering her own drinks, or are you going to be doing it for her? Okay. Is she to be by your side the entire time, or is she free to roam and just kind of like be very relaxed about it? There's a lot of little things, right? This is just going out, right? You're going out one time. So, and you think like, oh man, that sounds too stringent. That sounds too particular. That sounds too like you're squeezing the life out of things. Trust me, the women are going to appreciate this. Okay, especially with the guys that are out there who don't have this sort of thing. Oh shit, I forgot my banner. Gosh, silly of me. Spanking is good for her, remember. Okay. So women will always appreciate the fact that you've got some sort of structure, that you've got strong likes, strong preferences, right? That involve her, and especially the ones that make her feel more feminine. Okay. So the ones where they feel as though you are guiding and protecting her presence. All right. And you might say, oh, well, this is very pandering. And it would be if you were doing these things for a woman that didn't qualify for them. All right. And what are the qualifications? Well, most of you have qualifications just circling around her pretty face. She's got nice tits, a small waist, a nice ass, a certain height, certain kind of skin, hair color, makeup or no makeup, the types of clothes she wears. I don't know what the fuck. This is your criteria. Or if you're even lower than that, just the fact that she's willing to give you some of her time. You're like, wow, okay, this girl, whoo, I can't wait to see her. she's she's giving me some time. All right. So, and I get it. Okay, like not every guy has a lot of experience, a lot of confidence, and things of that nature. And if you work at it, you'll get through that bullshit. It doesn't last forever. But you have to work at it. You have to work at your confidence. But anyways, so it can't be her appearance, or it can't be the fact that she's willing to give you some time. This cannot be your criteria. All right. Personally, for me, I've got 4 basic criterias. Okay. One, there needs to be sexual attraction. All right. Now, sexual attraction doesn't necessarily mean that she's the prettiest girl in the world. Right. I don't know if have experienced this, but you it's just a sexual vibe. It's a sexual chemistry. It's almost like your bodies get each other before you've even had sex. There's like a pull, and it's not necessarily because she's some freaking gorgeous swimsuit model, right? Now it can happen where she's that and there's sexual attraction, but it's not contingent on her being a swimsuit model, right? So sexual attraction is this other weird chemical hindbrain fucking other shit that's going on. Okay. So sexual attraction is one of them. All right. The other one is a sense of enthusiasm. So I really, really appreciate a sense of enthusiasm just in general, like a girl who's got enthusiasm for life, for the things that she's doing, her her hobbies, her work, her family, like whatever. Okay. I like feeling a sense of enthusiasm in a person. Like it's good to be around someone who's enthusiastic, regardless of what your relationship with them is, right? Whether it's a colleague, another guy, one of your bros, a work friend, your boss, like whatever. Okay, including women and your family and everybody. It's great to be around people who are enthusiastic about something. And the more things they're enthusiastic about, the better. All right. Just means they have a zest for life. And they're not just like, yeah, whatever, I'm just waiting for the next time I can get high. It's like, okay, you're just basically like taking down the days until you can die. So, sexual attraction and in general enthusiasm. All right, the next one is an open-mindedness / curiosity. Okay, so it's terrible. It's like the opposite of enthusiasm. It's terrible being around someone who's closed-minded. And I know we've all been in conversations with someone, whether it's a friend or somebody just we meet randomly, we get into a conversation, and sometimes like a topic will come up and they form this really rigid, fixed mindset. And it's usually around beliefs that they've turned into facts in their head, okay? Because they're just such strongly held beliefs. And it's fine for people to have strongly held beliefs, okay? I'm not saying that. But if you are unwilling to question shit, right? And just have an open mind to say, what if, okay? Then I don't want to be part of you. I don't want to spend time with closed-minded, fixed-minded people, okay? Like I said, it's fine to have strongly held beliefs, but if there isn't even just a shred of saying, well, what if, then it shows me that your brain has petrified. Your mind has petrified. And I don't want to spend time with people who have petrified minds. It's not worth my time, okay? Because it stagnates. It stagnates connection. It stagnates the exchange of energy between two people, all right, during conversation or what have you, all right? And then the last thing, the fourth item, is coachability, or her ability to take direction, okay? So I'll just run it through real quick. Sexual attraction, enthusiasm, open-mindedness / curiosity, and the ability to take direction. These 4 things are my main criteria, because if any one of these four things is missing, I don't know what to do with the person. Like, she could be hot as hell on like just a purely objective aesthetic level, okay? But if there's no enthusiasm, she's worthless to me. If there's no sexual attraction, she's worthless. I mean, I don't mean she's a worthless human being. It's just worthless towards my aims and the things that I want to do. All right. If there's no curiosity and open-mindedness, worthless. If she's has an inability to take direction, worthless. You see, these things are so important to me. All right. And they can be important to you, or you could have other criteria that are not purely visual. Okay. So if you want to learn how to lead, okay, and how to have structure, like I said, it's important to know what you want, all right, and have a certain criteria for bringing someone in that you can then expose and influence towards those wants, all right? And this is the very beginnings of your program, is knowing what you want and having criteria for people. Because if you don't have these things, if you don't have a handle on what it is that you want, and you don't have any criteria or a filter structure by which people are allowed to come into your little world, then basically anything goes. Everyone's acceptable, right? And then you come into situations where you're going to be supremely disappointed. You're going to be irked by all kinds of shit, all right? And things will come up, and then you're going to have to deal with these sort of things. Now, if you're one of those types of guys, and many of you are like this, who are conflict averse, right? Which means you avoid conflict. You're going to be around these people and just like sweep these things under the rug. And then this will build into a little lump under that rug. And then after a while, it's going to be difficult to ignore. All right. And this is what a lot of guys who have nice guy syndrome do. They will sweep a lot of things under the rug because they don't have the assertiveness, because they don't stand on their convictions. They don't stand on their wants and desires, their needs. They don't stand on, or they don't have a filtration process, right? My four filtration items, okay? My criteria, they don't have that. And this gets them into situations with all kinds of unsavory people. And because they lack these things, it'll bring them down, right? Because like I said, if you don't have these filter systems in place, everybody's allowed to come in. Everybody's allowed some of your time. Or you become more passive about it. So your passivity becomes your means of your filtration, and you just kind of veer away from things that you don't like, right? And this turns into things like ghosting and that sort of shit. Okay, very passive, right? Very passive means of dealing with people. And you're like, oh, I don't like that guy, so I'm just gonna like stop texting him. All right, like if it's like some dude you met at the gym and maybe had like a similar interest, and you're like, hey man, like let's get together, and then he turned out to be like really annoying or like rude or something like that, condescending, I don't know. And instead of addressing the behavior, you're just like, I'm just not gonna call him. Right? And but when it's happening, you're just accepting poor behavior being brought to you, right, without addressing it. Okay. So, as it relates to structure, right? Women needing structure, as the title goes, this is part of it as well. Okay. So if you're of the avoidant type, it's not going to work for you, because things will come up that, we're dealing with human beings here. We're not dealing with robots, all right? Where you just like program them and you can expect them to operate exactly like you program them from the moment you turn them on to the point their batteries die. Like, it doesn't work that way. All right. We're dealing with humans with very squishy psychology. And yeah, there's patterns for sure, but we're still organic and we're not as predictable as, they say, a machine. Okay. And so things will come up. And when they come up as surprises or things that confuse you because you're like, wait a second, I set up this situation, I set up these rules, and they're not following them. You can't just sweep that under the rug and be like, it's just a glitch. No, right? It's like you're the owner of a business, and so like one of your best employees just doesn't come to work one day, and you're like, that's odd. Okay, you're gonna send them an email, you're gonna give them a call, you're gonna send them a text, you're gonna do something and say, hey, Bob, where are you, buddy? You haven't missed a day's work in I don't know how long. What's going on? Are you hurt? Are you sick? You just not feel like coming to work today? What's going on? You'd be wondering, right? And you'd want to find out, you'd want to address this shit. Okay. Or Bob comes into work one day and he's always very nicely dressed, clean, just razor sharp. And he comes in one day totally scruffed out, unshaven. He's wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt with mustard stains on it and Crocs. Men, don't buy Crocs. Don't wear fucking Crocs. Okay? Don't do that shit. Men don't wear Crocs. But Bob does. Bob came into work wearing Crocs. As the business owner, would you just kind of be like, oh, hey, there's Bob coming to work? No, you'd be like, hey, Bob, come here. Step into my office. Sit down. What the hell are you wearing? You know the expectations here. What's going on? Right? You would address it immediately. Yet in your situations with women, she says something off color. You kind of stuff it down, right? I didn't like that, right? And then you don't say anything. You don't address it. She does something like unpredictable that's rude or what have you. You're like, I didn't like that. But you don't say anything about it. You just kind of grumble about it to yourself. And then maybe later on, you have the argument with her in your head. You set her straight in your head. But you don't do anything about it. I know that, oh, Dylan, no. Dylan, no. Listen, if James Bond doesn't have Crocs, you shouldn't have Crocs. Right? If Conan the Barbarian doesn't have Crocs, you shouldn't have Crocs. Right? These are archetypes, right? Not measuring sticks. I'm just saying, yeah. But hey, man, do you? But anyways, you got to address this shit. You got to address this shit right away. That's the point. Because, it's all together, right? It's all coming from the same kind of mind, okay? It's a certain context that's in your mind that leads to figuring out and knowing what you want, right? It's the context of a certain kind of mind that allows you to come up with the criteria that is beyond her looks. It's the context of a certain kind of mind that allows you to address things when they first come up, right? And you check the behavior, you check the words immediately. And you should have a reason behind those things that are not your feelings, okay? Because you can't run shit. You can't run shit based on how you feel, okay? Why is that? Why can't you run shit based on how you feel? Why you can't have criteria and rules, protocols, and things of that nature? If you have an idea, put it in the chat. In the meantime, so the question was, why can't you have feelings in those things in terms of structure? I'll answer this in the meantime. You recommend remote jobs for guys like me? Yeah, absolutely. Right? Because I know where you're at, Daniel, and work might be a little bit funky. Okay. I would do a little bit of both. right? Like if there's something easy, right? Like just say, working in a hotel as like a, bellboy or some shit like that. Oh shit, my cat's at the window. Can you hear him? Uh, do something easy, and then you can do like easy shit for online. Um, you can put up skills on Fiverr. That's very easy. You can also do, what's the shit that I'm talking about? Like administrative stuff, like for someone's business. Like say, um, for example, like a content creator who needs someone to answer messages that come in on their IG, for example, right? And you'd be the guy standing in and saying like, hey, thank you for contacting blah, 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 blah. We'll be sending you an email shortly. Thanks. Have a great day. Like that sort of bullshit. So yeah. All right. So the reason why you don't have feelings in any of this stuff, any of this structure stuff, is because they're unreliable. Your emotions are very potent, okay, which is why they're so influential, okay, but they're terrible in terms of making structure, right? It's like going to the beach and building like those sand dribble castles, right? It's like, yeah, you can like make something interesting with your feelings, but it doesn't hold, right? The slightest little wave comes in and swoosh, it's gone, right? And it's dribbly. It's like, it's like blobs and so on. It doesn't have like nice, strong, round arches and pillars and all that shit that you would expect from like real architecture. Okay. All right. Excuse me. I got to let this guy in. Yeah. So feelings are they really get in the way. I mean, they can feed you certain types of information, but as far as setting up protocols, setting up rules, boundaries, and things of that nature, they're terrible. They're the worst. Okay. Um, and it's because they're unreliable. They fluctuate too much. Okay. And especially if you're someone who is very emotive, right? If you're a very emotive person where you know yourself in such a way that something can happen and you shift emotionally. And then another thing happens like right behind that one and you can shift emotionally again. All right. If you're this type of person, then you certainly don't want to have any sort of boundaries based around your feelings, right? It's gonna lead to disaster. So this is why it's important um, to have your structure based around principles, okay? And this is what you lead from. This is the stuff you lead from. You can't lead from your feelings. It's terrible. But this is what a lot of guys do. So they do the sweeping of the under the rug. That's their feelings, right? It's avoiding it. They're the feeling of avoidance of feelings. So that's what they're operating off of. Okay. What are you saying here? YouTuber is a great career that you can have. Should I make videos right now if I really want to do it, Mr. Justin? No, Daniel, you just need to get a regular job, dude. You're not a content creator. I don't even know what you would have to talk about. Okay. It's best if you have an obsession, and right now your obsession is pussy, so I wouldn't get up on YouTube and create a channel talking about pussy. Okay. But if you have like a hobby or something like that you're totally fucking obsessed about and you have an extensive amount of knowledge, sure. If anything you have an extensive amount of knowledge on, of course you can create a YouTube channel, but it takes years. It takes a long time to build that shit up. Okay. That's not really a career. Right? Like I'm not doing this as a career. No, I coach. This is just something that I do to, talk and connect with you guys and allow you to ask questions and that sort of thing. I'm not trying to build a YouTube presence. Okay. I get my clients through networking and things of that nature, word of mouth and all that shit. Okay. This is just fun for me, right? That's all YouTube is. It's just a bit of fun. All right. So no, YouTuber is not a great career. Not today. Not anymore. All right. Back a few years ago, it was a lot easier. Okay. Less competition and things of that nature. But anyways, but if you know the tech, you know what's going on, you've got your finger on the pulse of the trends happening with content creation, then by all means. But I really don't think that's you, Daniel. Just get a regular fucking job. Okay, quit being a little boy and just get a regular job where you just show up. You don't have to think too much. You just do what's expected of you, and then you go home. That's what you need to start off with, because what that will do is it will give you structure, which you have none of. Okay. It's important to have structure. Okay. It allows you to actually relax. Yes, VA. That's the word I was trying to think of. Yep. That's a virtual assistant. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yep, you can do that part-time, and you can do like a regular job part-time. Very easy shit. So yeah, you need structure. You need something that has like a daily practice. You know what I'm saying? And it's best if you have this in your life already. All right? And this is something that when a woman comes along, it's something that she has to adjust to. And if she's attracted to you, she's going to love it and hate it, right? So if you've got like a really strong gym routine, or you've got like a really strong study routine for like a goal that you're going towards with like, say, you know, secondary education or what have you, you're studying martial arts, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but you're on it, right? Whatever it is, whatever hobby, goal, mission, whatever side shit you got going on, and you're on it. This is, if she's attracted to you, this is very much of a love-hate sort of thing. Okay. And she's like, fuck, like I love that he's driven and focused and so sexy, but he doesn't have as much time for me as I wish he had. Right. And that's okay. Right. Like it's okay for a woman to get sad because of you. Right. It's quite all right. She's not going to break. Okay. Like, I don't think you realize how resilient women are, you know, like physically, mentally, and emotionally. Most women are resilient as fuck. And they're built that way. I think studies have been done that their central nervous systems are more advanced than men's. Probably like due to like the whole like childbirth thing going on. But their central nervous system can withstand more stress and now I'm not talking about emotions. I'm talking like your nerves, okay? Like actual sensory nerves can withstand more stress and more pain than men can. It's bizarre, right? Because you think like, oh, we're bigger and tougher, right? We can withstand more pain. But on like nerve synapse, that sort of level of measuring things, generally speaking, women have a higher level. But I think it's to like deal with pregnancy, giving birth. But anyways, they're resilient. They're not going to break. So if you make a girl sad or upset because you're not bending to her will, or you're sticking more towards your goals and your hobbies and things of that nature, despite her carrying on, having a temper tantrum, crocodile tears, insults, whatever. Okay. Now, if she's insulting, you should just dismiss her. But I know how you guys are. You put up with all kinds of bullshit. You put up with all kinds of bullshit. You can't do that. You can't be putting up with bullshit, man. But that's part of the structure. That's part of the structure. The structure says, hey, there's no bullshit here. Dude, what are you doing? You get down. Yeah, see, it would be great like when we're like cats, and when they're fucking around, you just squirt them with a water bottle. Or like a squirt gun or some shit. Bad pussy. Squirt them. I think that would be great. Maybe I'll incorporate that. Just a squirt gun. You know, if she's, you know, my girl says something a little funky, just squirt her a few times in the face. No, bad. I think that would be great. But really, you know, jokes aside, it's that you have to be okay with conflict. You can't be avoidant, right? Like a mentor of mine, he said that you know, you can't be dominant and insecure at the same time. You can't be dominant and have self-doubt at the same time. So you're always having to trust in yourself, to bet on yourself, have confidence in yourself. Because without that underlying structure underneath the structure you build on top is just going to fall apart. It'll be weak as fuck, right? You'll be a sheep in wolf's clothing, putting up this front like you're some cool fucking tough guy, right? But the second she does something a little, you know, against your boundaries or your rules, you're fucking crying inside. You're getting frustrated with her. You're picking fights with her. You're arguing with her, right? That's bullshit. That's fear. That's emotional weakness. That's actually coming into her world, and you're allowing what she does, how she reacts, how she thinks, the things that she wants, things she needs, things that she desires, to control you. Because your emotions, remember I said emotions are highly influential elements, okay? It's very easy. This is why when you see, say, like a beautiful painting or something like that, you can have an emotional reaction just from looking at a fucking painting, right? If you hear a certain song, it can make you feel really elated or kind of down or super fucking aggressive, or it's so beautiful that it like raises the hair on your arms, right? Like emotions are incredibly powerful influencers, okay? And if you have, say, a weak portal, okay? A weak portal to those emotions. Let's say there's like a membrane, okay? Imagine a membrane covering a portal, a hole. And through that membrane is access to your emotions, okay? If that membrane is too flimsy, okay, if it's so thin that things can permeate through there, then your emotions can be easily influenced. You can be affected easily. And this is a problem. This is a real problem, okay? Okay, we're done talking about work, dude, right? That's not what this is about, okay? I told you to get a fucking job months ago. What's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing here? Stop wasting your time with me, with YouTube, with pussy, and all this other bullshit that you do in your life, and go get a fucking job. It's not that hard. Just get a fucking job. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting your time. Because tomorrow you're dead. God damn. Hey, what's up, Boxing? Good to see you, buddy. And salute to everybody in the chat. Thanks for Uncle Guns for posting links and all that good shit. Yeah, the book that I did, How to Be a Fantastic Lover, it's got the second iteration of it with edits and stuff. It's on there. It's on my Gumroad, and the links are there in the chat. It's been very well received, and if you get it, it's actually, I dropped it to a sale price, and it's just stayed that way. I was like, fuck it, like, so it's very very fairly priced, and you'll learn a lot. There's a lot of good shit in there for being a really good lover. So, but that said, you really got to learn to contain and monitor your emotions, okay? And it's a, how do I say this? It's a bit of a balancing act, all right? Because that membrane that I was talking about, that little membrane, if it's too thick, all right, because some people have a membrane that's too thick, all right, this makes you less human, all right? And while, yeah, it's like kind of cool to be like cold and distant and stoic and all that stuff to a degree, okay? Because if it falls too much into an extreme, then it turns into, what are you doing? Are you like protecting yourself from something? Are you like, why are you so fucking standoffish, right? Okay, like I said, I appreciate people who have an open mind. This is what's one of the things that's important to me. I think it's an important trait to have as a human, right? Is to have an open mind. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like the same criteria for women, but it's weird when you come across somebody who's like super fucking guarded, and you're like, what are you trying to protect in there? What's so squishy that you gotta protect yourself so much, right? With that thick ass membrane, right, covering the portal towards your emotions, right? Because the thing is, though, is it's gotta be this balance, okay? To the point where, and the reason being is that you need to be able to understand and tap into emotions so that you can understand and tap into hers. And this is where you can lead and guide her through emotional and sexual experiences. Okay? And I'm talking emotional experiences both in and out of the bedroom. Okay? This is where the greatest levels of influence lie, is in her emotions. So if you're fucking cold and cut off and you don't have a good relationship with your emotions, then you're not going to be able to easily affect hers, or you're only going to be able to affect hers in a very limited way. And it's going to spur some like emotional reactions in her and like, fire up the fantasy wheel inside her head. But it's going to be along the lines of the, what do women call guys? The ones they fall for all the time, emotionally distant, right? They're always complaining about emotionally distant men. I think it's important to have what I've mentioned many times before is professional distance. Okay, you're there, but you're not there. So you do have some distance, in the same way that if you could imagine like the best boss, like not just like a good boss, but like the best boss, where he's fucking cool, he can fucking lead, he can take charge and knows he can like get shit done, right? He can lead the charge, he can inspire people, but at the same time, he knows how to connect with you as like an employee, make you feel seen. And you're like, damn, like this guy, like I want to be bros with this guy, but I can't because he's my boss and he would never let me that close to him. But there's that degree of closeness, which actually brings you closer together and wanting to be part of his team. Okay? If it's too much, then there's too much friendliness. And that dichotomy between boss and employee gets a little more balanced out, right? And that's not good. In the same way, when a man and a woman become too chummy in the relationships and they just become these buddies, and then the relationship degrades into roommates, right? Which is all too common. It's because that power differential has faded, and now you guys are like somewhat equal, and just like these two people and living life, doing whatever the fuck, right? And it's fine. Like, hey, you want to be friends with your woman? That's great. Like, be friends with your woman. But the more friendly you are, the more you act like a friend, then that differential, that power differential, becomes shorter and shorter to the point where you're evened out. Okay. Now, if it's too diverse, okay, if it's too diverse in the sense where you're way up here, she's way down here, or whatever, you're way over there and she's way over there, or your boss is like up in a fucking ivory tower, nobody sees him. You need to set up a meeting. Like, if you want to just like ask him a question, you gotta set up a meeting with him 2 weeks in advance, right? And you might get that time. It's like, it's too distanced. You're like, yeah, fuck that guy. I'm gonna come in here, do what I gotta do, and get home, because I could give a fuck, right? That's what happens when you have too much distance, when you're too stoic, when you're too cut off from your emotions. The other side, the people that interact with you, they're like, it's like kind of like looks cool, right? You're like one of those guys. But I can easily just say, fuck off, right? Because you mean nothing. There's no connection at all because you're walled off, okay? And at the same time, you don't want to be like one of these simpy fucking wet sponges of men where there might as well be no fucking boundary, right? I saw this dude walking down the street last night. I went out to get a beverage. It was not alcoholic. I just was like, had a hankering for some iced tea. So I went out and grabbed some iced tea. And I'm walking back to my place, and I see this guy walking towards me. And I don't know what his orientation was, and he just looked a little off. And he's wearing this black shirt with like bold white writing on the front. And it said, "Feminism is my second favorite F word." And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Like, so is feminism, is he supporting feminism or not? Like, is feminism a swear word, right? Because we associate like F words with like, swear words. So does he consider feminism a bad word, or is it a good word? Does he like F words? I just don't understand it. Okay. But I imagine just by looking at him, like, a male feminist when you see one. You know what they look like, and you're like, you get no bitches. Not one. No. Like, women don't like you at all. Oh God. And the best you can do is to get on their side with something that is so socially charged that they can't deny you, right? They can't say like you're being a bitch, because that would kind of be slighting someone who's in support of your beliefs, right? So it's like, yeah, like, you're fucking weird and you're totally unattractive, but we'll like tolerate you because you always bring the good drinks to the meetings, to the feminist meetings, or whatever the fuck they do. Oh my God. Feminist is my second favorite F word. But anyways, I just imagine this type of guy, the guy who has no membrane. He has no wall. And so everything flows in and out of him, right? He's very close to being a woman, right? He's still a man, but it's like super, super close, at least on like an emotional, energetic level. He operates in a world that's very similar to hers. And therefore, like, you can easily influence them. This is why guys would be so influenced emotionally by ideologies and go, that's the shirt for me. I need the shirt that says feminism is my favorite, or my second favorite F word. And I'm thinking to myself, what's his first favorite F word? What is it? Oh my God. Fascism? I don't know. Is it another ism or is it just something else? But yeah, so basically you need to, and all right, so as it relates to women, is that yes, he'll have, like the guy without the membrane, he'll have the ability to really flow out with his emotions, okay? And this actually might allow women to feel very connected to him, but on a level that is more equal to hers. Okay? So they're kind of like two soldiers in the foxhole together, right? They're on that same level. They're having the same or similar experience emotionally. And like, oh, darling, I feel what you're going through, right? Oh my gosh, come here, give me a hug. Let me give you a hug. Right? So, yo, it was dark, but I think he had purple highlights. I think he did. Like in his like very nicely chiseled and coiffed hair. I think he had purple highlights. Anyways. But yeah, so if they're on the same level, then that means that this type of guy lacks the ability to influence her, right? Because in order to influence, you have to be either back or up. Okay? You have preferably a little bit of both. I've mentioned this before, right? The professional distancing, it looks like being 12 inches back, 12 inches up. All right? You're there, but you're just slightly not there. Okay? This is what allows you to have perspective. It's what allows you to not be emotionally wrapped up into shit. It allows you to think just briefly before you say or do something. It allows you that grace, that consideration, and it allows you to lead more effectively. If you're right there with her because your fucking membrane is non-existent between the outside influences and the tunnel towards your emotions, then you're just going to be on the same level as her. You're going to be just as easily influenced by what goes in you. Okay, pause. So the thing is that when you're like that, you can't influence the other side, right? Because you're just as easily affected. Okay, I'm trying to think of an analogy to like. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. All right. So that's why it's like you have to find that kind of balance. You have to find this this nice range. Okay. And this is why the dudes who work with me, I have you go through certain exercises to help bring about your creative nature. Okay? Because yes, you can lead without creativity. You absolutely can. It's not necessary. But when you do, oh shit, is it fun. When you do bring out your creativity, and I truly believe that anyone can learn to be creative. Okay? I abhor people who are like, oh my gosh, you're so talented. Okay? Yeah, like for me, like I've got a number of creative skills. All right? And I can't stand it. Can't fucking stand it when someone says, wow, Justin, you're so talented. The fuck I am. How dare you disrespect the fucking 30 plus years of hard ass training I've done. I have busted my ass to get as good as I am. That's maybe having that drive is the talent, but I wasn't like given like magical gifts where I'm just like, oh yeah, like here's my fucking tablet, and just like poof, it's gorgeous. I mean, today you can do that with a fucking AI art, but prior to that, you'd have to actually work. So, because of that, I believe that you can learn to be creative. And when you start incorporating this into your leadership, it means you've got structure plus emotional instigation. You got emotional stimulation. And you can take anything. You can take it anywhere you want it to go at that point. This is why it's important. So think about it. Just think about like all the little concepts that we talked about, right? We talked about knowing what your wants and desires are, what your needs are. We talked about criteria by which you filter a woman coming into your life. Okay? My 4 main criteria is sexual attraction, open-mindedness / curiosity, enthusiasm, and willingness to take direction. So having a filter for someone who's coming into your life. Having some sort of structure in your life where there's some kind of discipline involved, where you have to do this thing every day or every week, no matter what. No matter fucking what. Like, unless you're deathly ill or you have some like crazy like work thing that just prevents you from doing what you need to do, then you're there doing it. All right. Combine that with having that filter wall that I was talking about. That's just thick enough where you're not being influenced by shit emotionally, but thin enough where you can influence others because you have a good, healthy connection with your emotions. Combined with that professional distancing of the ideal, great fucking boss. That 12 inches back and the 12 inches up. And now you add in a bit of creativity where you're allowing your mind to create things, right? It's not just about the rules and the protocols and like, it's great to have those things, but you can dress up that scaffolding, okay? And make it something great. Make it look beautiful. Make it smell beautiful. Make it sound beautiful. Whatever the fuck you want to do, okay? And all of this shit is way more powerful than great looks, a lot of money, and being very well known. All of it is way more powerful than those 3 things. Your looks, money, and status idiots. Okay. I'm not saying those things are worthless. Okay. Sure. Improve your looks. All right. If you've got bad skin, take care of your fucking skin. If you're fat, go on a diet, exercise. All right. If you're stupid, fucking read. Educate yourself. And if you have a desire to be well known, okay, network, get to know people, be likable, find interest in other people. Don't be a fucking hermit. Okay. But those things, they're just little bonuses, right? That's like dropping like a little bit of like that like octane booster they sell at the gas station, right? It's just to give you a little bit of extra juice. But that's not it. What's it is all that stuff that I talked about before. This is the basis for your program. This is the basis. Well, your self-concept as a man, that is underneath that. But it's like the self-concept, then all of the stuff that's built on top of that, which I already mentioned. I'm not going to run through it again. But it's like when a woman comes into that, shit. You know how easy relationships are from that point. Easy. And then you can basically create whatever the fuck you want. But you got these avoidant dudes. You got these avoidant dudes who are conflict averse, way too emotional, way too smart for their own fucking good because their head is filled with statistics and shit like that. They're angsty because all they do is jerk off. or they're on NoFap and they keep counting the days, which is driving them fucking insane. They don't remember the last time a woman like really wanted to hug them, wanted to like bury their little face into your chest. Can't remember the last time that happened. Okay. And then sitting there going, well, you know, I'm not fucking getting with women. They're treacherous. All they do is lie, cheat, and steal. You know? It's sad. It's sad. But it's like, if you really ignored all that shit. Oh yeah, here's another little tip, right? Stop listening to women. Really. This will, the things, like, well, one of the main things is control what you listen to. This will change your fucking life. This will, like, you want to affect your life in the most, like, you want to get the most bang for your buck. Like, just like something free, okay? You don't have to pay for. No coaching involved or whatever bullshit, courses, books, blah, blah, blah. All you got to do is control what goes into your ears. This will have a profound effect on your life. No fucking news. None. Don't look at news on social media. Don't watch news on television. Don't listen to the news on the radio. None of it. No fucking news. Because guess what? Power does what it does whether the peons are listening and watching or not. That's the way it goes. That's the way power moves. That's the way real fucking power moves. Okay? They don't give a fuck. And they're going to get done and make the deals they need to make, whether you care or you don't care, whether you're watching or don't watch, and whether you're listening or not listening. But something powerful you can do for yourself is to not listen to the news. This will have a profound effect on your life. The other thing about listening, right, is women. Don't fucking listen to women. And I don't mean this in any kind of like disrespectful way, right? I'm not saying like all the shit that comes out of a woman's mouth is bullshit. It's just fucking verbal diarrhea garbage, right? Because I'm not even there to determine its quality. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to see whether it's valid or has a point, or if it's bullshit, or if it's quality, or if it's deep, or if it's just fucking some ratchet shit. I'm not listening at all. And if I am in a situation where there is listening involved, like so occasionally, you know, I'll listen to Clubhouse, I'll hang out in rooms and stuff and listen to women. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm okay, here it is. I'm hearing, but I'm not listening. Like almost like if you ever go camping or something like that, or you're staying in a cabin in the woods. A lot of times, you know, there's like crickets, right? And it's like, shh. You hear it, but you don't really pay attention to it. Like your brain is certainly registering the shit. Now, if you shift your awareness and you start listening, now you really can fucking hear it. And now, because now your mind has shifted to the point of watching, right? Paying attention closely with the sounds. So now your mind is more engaged. All right. And this is not constructive when it comes to listening to women. All right. It's not about bashing what they say. It has to do with the effectiveness of your mind. Okay. Because frankly, whatever they say doesn't really have any bearing on you, or at least it shouldn't. Right? Like, why would the things that a strange woman says to you, or not even to you, because they're not talking to you, are they? They're just talking. How is that having any sort of relevance to your life? Like if she's like, oh my gosh, I only date guys who are over 6 feet tall. why does that matter in any reality? Why does that matter in any reality? It only matters when you listen, and not only listen, but when you use whatever comes out of their mouths as a means of measurement. Because then you're like, well, I'm 6 feet tall. That must mean I'm desirable, at least by that girl and all the other girls who talk about that shit, right? Look, there's a mark of pencil on the wall. Or you're like, nah, man, I'm not. Like, fuck these bitches. I'm 5'8". You know, like measuring, dude. Yo, the only time you should be measuring your height is when you go to the doctor. You are bitch ass if you're standing there as a grown man with a pencil on your head like you're fucking 7 years old, marking that shit and then using a tape measure. Like, that's what I've done for my kids, right? You're a child. You're a child and you're a bitch if you're measuring your own height, right? Because it's not gonna fucking change. So what the fuck are you measuring it for? Like, unless it's important to some sort of standard, then why are you measuring it? The only time that it should be measured is when you're going to the fucking doctor. That's it. Right? And they're just putting it into your fucking health report. Otherwise, you should not be measuring your height like a fucking child. No. So it's like I was saying, if you want to clean up your mind really fast, in a really, really effective and easy way, give up listening to news on all fronts, and then stop listening to women on all fronts. The only woman, okay, or the only women, all right, let me say that, the only women that you should be even like remotely listening to is a woman that you are engaging with. Okay. Now, if she's not yet your woman or has not yet campaigned to be on your program, okay. So there's like girls you're talking to. There's girls who are campaigning to get on your program. And then there's your woman or women who have gotten on your program. This is with the assumption that you actually have one. Those are like the three areas. Okay. If it's a woman that's not on your program, you're talking to her, the only reason why you would be listening to her, okay, with any sort of like awareness, is just to hear what's coming out of her mouth so you know how to lead the conversation in the direction that you want it to go. And then you can suss out, well, at least for me, I can suss out 3 of my 4 criteria: the open-mindedness and curiosity, the willingness to take direction, and the enthusiasm. Those are the things I'm looking for if I'm talking to a new girl. Okay, the sexual attraction I'll know very quickly, and she will too, okay, whether it's there or not. All right, so usually if it's there quickly, then I'm looking at the other 3, and that comes out in conversation. And once I start hearing those things getting ticked, then I can start leading it in the direction that I want it to go. All right. And that, how she responds to that will determine whether she is inspired to campaign to be on my program. You see? So, so basically, I don't know, man. You just got to get your fucking shit together. There's just too much. There's just too much, man. Like, but anyways, it starts with just cleaning up your mind. Stop listening to news. Stop listening to women on social media. Like, fucking all of it, right? It doesn't bring you any benefit, right? So, like, let's say, you brilliant motherfuckers out there who are listening to women, what they say on these podcasts and this interview and that fucking TikTok. Okay, let's say you've gathered so much information about women. Okay, you were like the king. You were the king of this information, what women say. Okay, now what? How is that benefiting your life? Your lives? Well, it's it's preventing me from getting with these fucking worthless skanks. It's like, yeah, but you would love to fuck any one of them. So stop kidding yourself. Right? One of the things that's paramount on the path of man is really crude honesty with the self. This is one of the most important ingredients that you'll ever utilize in the path of man. And it comes with truth about yourself. And the thing about it is that it will bring you sorrow. It'll bring you anger. It will bring you joy. It'll bring you hope. It'll bring you inspiration. All sorts of stuff. But you can't cherry pick. Okay? You can only cherry pick the truth. Well, you can only pick the truth. You can't cherry pick the truth. And it comes with being honest with yourself. This is really one of the very first steps in manhood, right? Because boys still live in fantasy. Okay? Now, if you have fantasy, that's fine, because you'll be using it down the line when you develop your creativity, such that you can transport a woman's mind and emotions to another place. So there's nothing wrong with fantasy. It's just being stuck in boyhood fantasy, with boyhood beliefs, with boyhood perceptions, and boyhood dishonesty. This is really one of the main things that holds guys back. It coincides with having a avoidant personality, being conflict averse, right? Because that is a type of conflict. When you're honest with yourself, that's engaging with conflict with yourself. So if you're afraid of that, the fuck are you trying to give your time to a woman for? It's not going to work. You're going to fuck it up. Just like your relationships, if you've been in one, right? They've fucked up, haven't they? Or else you wouldn't be here. And it's because of the lack of honesty. It's because of lack of honesty with yourself. Without that, you're not going to be able to have good criteria. You won't get rid of your simp syndrome. You'll be still conflict avoidant or conflict averse, right? You'll have an avoidant, what does it say? Avoidant attachment style. I don't know if that stuff is real or not. But you'll certainly be avoidant. You'll sweep shit under the rug. You'll put all kinds of fantasy and dreams in your head. All kinds of false beliefs, which will create false perceptions, which will create false actions. It's not an easy path. And this is why there's so few men. Right? You think, oh man, he's fit. He wears a suit. He's successful. He must be a man. Not so. There's no objective, consistent, outward results that will dictate a man from a non-man. Because it's all having to do with the internal architecture. How he relates with himself. Think about it. Good looking guy, good genetics, has a great job, has a nice life. But he is completely dishonest. First and foremost with himself. He's dishonest with other people. Perhaps he's a scammer. Scams himself, scams other people. Nobody gets close to him, right? But outwardly, you look at this guy and go, that dude's a baller. He must be a man. Look at him. Just look at that guy. He looks like the man, or something similar to the man that I've dreamed up in my head, which is a phantom of belief and perception. So where's the vision for yourself, though? And why can't that become a reality? You know, because I'll tell you, I've met men with a capital M, that come from all different walks of life. I've met straight up hippies that were men. I've met businessmen that were men. I've met blue collar guys that were men. I've met teachers that were men. And I've also met some bitches that were in the military. I've met some bitches who were construction workers. I've met some bitches who were fighters. I've met some bitches who were very popular moguls. Actually, I work with guys who are like this. Really fucking wealthy, really fucking successful dudes. And you'd see them and look at their life. Like, you look at these guys' Instagram, you're like, holy fuck, what kind of life do these guys live? That must be a man. No. These are, well, the guys at least I'm working with, they're fucking bitches. No offense, but you guys know they're bitches if you're watching this, so, you know. Just calling the kettle black, as it were. But that's the thing, right? It's nothing you can actually see, but it's something you can feel. It's something you can feel when you are around a man. And it's something women can fucking feel for real, because they're so, you know, connected and influenced by their emotions. They're like, ooh, I want to taste that. I want to smell that. I want to touch that. That looks great. He looks fun. He looks confident. He looks like he's in charge. Maybe he's a little bit of a dick. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. But there's like something about him that's not what is seen, but it's like in between the lines, that she's like, ooh, I need to find out more. I need to see what that guy is about. Let me get a taste. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I like to put it just men and not men, right? Because like males is just one variation, you know? There's men and there's not men. And there's so many iterations of not men. But men, it's very few. Like there's the deviations are very small. There are deviations, of course, but they don't vary quite as much as not men. And not men love to label themselves. Whereas men is just like, nah, I'm just a man. Like, it's just it. Like, you know, it's like, you know, asking like a mountain, like, what are you? Yeah, I'm just a mountain. It is what it is. But it knows itself through and through. That's the difference. I'm retired of no Navy SEALs that had all 3 t-shirts, but at home completely run around and folded up by a little 5'4", 105-pound woman. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's wild. It's really wild. Like, but what's this, like, all 3 t-shirts? That must be a Navy SEAL thing. I don't know what that is. But I get what you're saying. Like, they're decorated. Like, they're fucking badasses. Right? Shoot the fucking, you know, booger off of a pig's nose. and at 300 yards, but they get home and they're like, yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. Where do the bowls go in the washer? Where do the forks go in the washer? Okay. Like Quasimodo. Yes, master. uh, uh, I'm gonna. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna play a prank on my girl and tell her that she, like, when she responds to me, instead of like saying yes sir or yes daddy, she's got to say it like Quasimodo. It's like, no, not today. Just for today, you have to respond with, yes, master. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be the joke. So, all right, see what you can do when you have structure. When you have structure, you can play with the variables. You can play with the variables. It's just, you guys are so fucking hungry. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. It's like, yeah, but where's the I part? Where's the I part in that? Guys are like, I want my woman to serve me coffee on her knees, just like Justin's woman. Right? I want blowjobs on tap. Fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, open up. Because your dick just happened to get hard at 3 in the morning. I want that. Right? I want that. Me. But you don't even know who the I is. You don't know who the me is. You're just being gluttonous. You don't know what that I is about. So that's your fucking quest, man. Do you realize that? Do you realize that the most worthwhile quest for a human male is to become a man? That is really the only worthwhile thing. Everything else is transient. But that quest you will take to the point that you die. Like whatever sort of awards, achievements that you have within that realm. Okay? From transitioning from male to like just human male to a man. That you will take with you forever. It cannot be affected by the economy. It cannot be affected by the weather. It cannot be affected by war. It can't be affected by women or by your family or by God or by whatever the fuck. It's impenetrable because it exists in a sovereign world. It's completely sovereign from everything. And therefore you are. But all this other shit, which I'm not saying is like not worthwhile. Like, of course, like if you want to go build something great or be something great or whatever, whatever your goals are, that's totally fine, right? My point in saying that they're not as worthwhile is to say that they're transient. They're here and then they're gone. Sometimes within months or weeks or years, or at the very least, or at the very most, your deathbed, if something like that lasts as long for you. But eventually, all that stuff just goes away. It all just goes away. But your self-concept, your relationship to yourself, your identity, that's not going anywhere. All you have to do is just brush off the bullshit that's been like on there. You might have to use a chisel or a paint scraper, maybe some fucking citrus paint melter, but you got to get rid of the bullshit. But once you do, and you have that nice open thing and you're like, okay, well, I gave all that shit up, but who am I? It's the fucking best place to be. That's the absolute best place to be. When you freed yourself from certain shackles, right? And not everything from your past is a shackle, but some of them absolutely are. And now your slate is either blank or it's mostly blank. And you say, well, I thought I was that. Well, who am I now? That's one of the best fucking places to be. Because now you can start investigating. You can start searching inside yourself. You can start doing research. And you can start creating this. Give yourself something to follow. That's within you, right? Makes sense, yes? Ah, got it. Oh, I misread that. I said all, I thought it said all 3 t-shirts. Seals that had all the t-shirts, right? I got you. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting old too, so whatever. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for you guys today. I've beaten it into the ground. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be working on. I just kind of incorporated some new spanking stuff and some new tantric stuff. Okay, very simple shit that I just learned. So I'm gonna be adding that to the library, right? So for you guys who are part of the library, where you've gone to my website and you've joined the video library, or you're a student of mine who has access to the library, I'm going to be doing some new stuff regarding new spanking techniques and new tantric exercises for relaxation, because you all know that women's minds can get fucking crazy. Okay, it's like an insane hamster wheel in there. All right. And sorry, I just had like this vision of the hamster, and like they're running and then they trip up and the wheel is still spinning, but they're like stuck on it due to the centrifugal force. I love those videos. But anyways, this is what happens in a woman's head many times, right? Maybe many times in one day, or many times in a week, right? So these tantric exercises are very simple. It just has to do with like certain breathing exercises, what you're saying vocally, and then placing your hands on specific parts of her body and leading her through an experience of deep relaxation. Okay. I'm also putting together some hypnosis stuff, like erotic hypnosis stuff. And this is like advanced sort of things. So if you're already very good at relaxing women with your voice, you would be pretty good at delivering some erotic hypnosis. And this stuff is a lot of fun, especially if you got somebody who's willing and interested in doing erotic hypnosis. It's a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that shit. Exclusive only through the library, because that stuff is just too risque and it's too much fun to give out for free, frankly. So there's that. Okay, well, thank you guys for coming to the channel, for joining me this evening. I hope you learned some shit. I hope you had some fun, or I hope you're relaxed. And, make sure that you spank your woman. She'll thank you for it. And if she doesn't, she should. Spank her until she does. All right. Pulling this to a close. And I'll see you guys soon on the next one.